Welcome to Little Lost Fievel, an American Tale storybook. Open your book and read along with this tape. When you hear this sound, turn the page. When a little mouse named Fievel Mouskowitz was 7 years old, his whole life changed. Fievel and his family lived in Russia. They were a poor but loving family who were happy as long as they were all together. One day, a terrible thing happened to the Mouskowitzes. A gang of cats destroyed their little village, and the family was forced to leave their beloved home. It was then that Papa Mouskowitz decided that the family would go to America. The Mouskowitzes found themselves on a crowded boat traveling across the ocean on their way to America. A storm had hit the boat, rocking it back and forth, tossing it among the waves.
Sit down, Fievel,
exclaimed Papa Mouskowitz as his curious son ran up a flight of stairs that led to the main deck.
Come back!
By the time Fievel heard his father's warning, it was too late. A large wave crashed onto the deck of the ship, picked Fievel up, and washed him overboard. He cried as the boat carrying his family pulled away from him. It was no use. Fievel Mouskowitz was all alone. Fievel climbed into an empty bottle that floated by, and eventually washed up on the shores of Bedloe's Island. There he met a friendly pigeon.
Where am I?
Fievel asked.
Why, you're in America,
answered the pigeon with pride.
Then I must begin looking for my family at once,
stated Fievel. The pigeon offered to help, and with Fievel on his back, he soared off into the sky. He dropped Fievel off at the immigration building.
If they're on that boat, then they'll have to come through here,
said the pigeon.
I've got to be going. Goodbye, and good luck.
Thank you,
shouted Fievel, waving as the pigeon flew off and disappeared from view. Fievel started to watch mice stream through the immigration building. He watched for a little while, but there was no sign of his family. What Fievel did not know was that he had missed his family by a few minutes. The Mouskowitzes had already passed through the immigration building and had moved on to New York City.
If only we were all together,
Papa Mouskowitz had said sadly, as they set out to begin their new life in America without their missing son. Fievel grew very sad. Suddenly, someone stepped up next to him.
Warren T. Rat's my name,
said the strange-looking fellow.
Why so sad, kid?
I'm looking for my family,
moaned Fievel.
Good thing you ran into me then,
said Warren T. Rat.
I know exactly where they are. Come with me.
Fievel followed Warren T. Rat into New York City. His hopes were high, but they were soon shattered. Warren T. Rat had tricked Fievel. He took the young mouse to a sweatshop where many other mice were working very, very hard, making clothing for very little money.
But what about my family?
asked Fievel.
Forget your family, kid. Just get to work,
growled Mo, the nasty rat in charge of the sweatshop. Fievel was very unhappy. He wanted to leave this terrible place to continue the search for his family, but he saw no way to escape. Then, Fievel made a real friend named Tony Toponi. Tony was an immigrant mouse from Italy who was an orphan. He felt sorry for Fievel and wanted to help him find his family. Together, they formed a plan to escape. They tied several suits together to form one long chain of suits. They then tied one end to a table, threw the other end out the window, and scampered away to freedom.
Come on,
said Tony.
Let's go find your family.
But when Tony looked up, Fievel was gone. Fievel had spotted a big mouse in Russian clothing. He was sure it was his papa.
Papa, it's me, Fievel,
he shouted as he ran after the mouse. Just as Fievel caught up to the large mouse, the mouse turned around. It was not Papa. Fievel sighed with disappointment. Then he realized that he had lost his friend Tony. Once again, he was left all alone. Fievel wandered the streets of New York. Every time he saw someone dressed like his mama or papa, he would rush over to them, and every time it would turn out to be someone else. Fievel stopped at a window and peeked in. Inside was a schoolroom. Fievel could see the happy faces of mice his own age reciting their ABCs, while the teacher looked on, pleased with her students. Fievel's heart sank. He thought of happy days in school with his friends back home.
I wish we never left Russia,
He muttered to himself as he kept on walking. Meanwhile, the Mouskowitz family themselves were very sad. Each day as they walked around the streets of New York, they kept the small hope alive that they would spot Fievel.
I miss my boy so much,
cried Mama and Papa. As for Tony, he and his friend Bridget, an Irish immigrant, searched the streets looking for his little friend. He called out Fievel's name, but his cries went unanswered. It began to grow late, and Fievel began to get very hungry. He passed an Italian restaurant. Pressing his nose against the window pane, he looked in and saw a happy family of mice enjoying their dinner and each other's company. His stomach growled with emptiness, and his heart sank a little bit further. The sweet strains of violin music snapped Fievel out of his gloomy mood.
Papa!
He thought. Papa Mouskowitz always played the violin back in Russia, and the music Fievel now heard coming from a nearby building sounded very familiar. Fievel scrambled up the side of the building, scampered across a clothesline, and peered into a window. He expected to see Papa playing his violin. What he saw instead was a phonograph playing a record of violin music. Fievel returned to the street, thinking that he would never find his family. He met a group of street mice and settled in to spend the night with them.
What's your story?
Asked one of the homeless mice.
I've been looking for my family,
Answered Fievel.
but now I'm never going to find them.
Just then, Fievel heard a violin. This time he was sure that it was not a record.
Papa!
He shouted, jumping to his feet.
Can it really be you?
He dashed down the street, and when he turned the corner, he saw Papa, Mama, and his sister Tanya, along with Tony and Bridget. They had all met looking for Fievel, and now, finally, the little mouse was reunited with his family.
Oh, Papa, Mama,
Cried Fievel.
I missed you so much.
Yes, but now we're all together,
Said Papa.
and now we can truly begin our new life in America.
That's the end of Little Lost Fievel, Side A. Now turn the tape over to Side B and read the story again. This time, pretend that you are Fievel.